So I just wanted to take a second to circle back to one of the questions from the previous round, Madam Auditor General, with respect to files that have been ordered by the House to be transmitted by the law clerk to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Now, this is, I think that function, first of all, is important to highlight, that's the law clerk's role here, is to serve as the conduit for those files to make that travel. This isn't a direction to the Auditor General on what to audit. It's like any bill that comes through the House that receives a majority support. The documents and data that were used by you to reach the conclusions that you did with respect to millions of dollars. We had 336. Sorry, I think you said $319 million was the number involved in cases of conflict of interest. Some were declared, some were undeclared, but all of that money went to appointees' interests that were involved with SDTC. The only reason that this step is necessary is because after 9 years of the NDP Liberal government, we have complete absence of transparency, a refusal to be transparent with Canadians. And it's not just files from the Auditor General. Of course, we need files from Sustainable Development Technology Canada, but also files from ISED. And so our hope is that, we know that the record keeping at the Auditor General's office is excellent. We haven't seen that evidenced by the departments that you've audited. So my question, Mr. Kennedy, is are you collecting documents and prepared to transmit them to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police?
Mr. Chair, I can certainly confirm we are doing that, and we are moving expeditiously to do that.
Mr. Perkins, you've got just over 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions for the Auditor General. Thank you for your report on sustainable development technologies that was released last week. Better known colloquially to those who are watching as the Liberal Green Slush Fund. 186 transactions approved by the board were approved by directors who had a conflict of some sort, declared, undeclared, maybe didn't follow the conflict of interest guidelines, correct?
I wouldn't say it's 186 transactions. Sometimes there may have been many conflicts for one transaction. That's why we said it was 96 cases and 90 cases. It doesn't mean cases. 90 different projects.
Okay. So
I don't know if that helps you understand.
So it's not 186 out of 420 projects you reviewed?
No, the cases of conflict of interest, there could be many conflicts of interest with one project.
I can see why Canadians and everyone is confused about this, because it appears that even the department and the government, who had an ADM in the meeting every time, didn't clearly understand. And that totals, as you said, 319 million of 820 million, 856 million. Yes. Sorry, 856 million, which is about 40, somewhere around 40% of the money allocated in the period you audited was conflicted in some way.
Yes, there was a conflict of interest, either well managed or not well managed, linked
Correct.
to the funding decision.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. And in addition to that, there was another 58 million. I don't know if maybe there was overlap. Another 58 million that in the fund that did not meet the contribution agreements, which included, I believe, the COVID payments.
Yeah, that 58 million was funding that didn't follow the process outlined in the contribution agreement, where it should have been project by project based on merit. These were really these batch approvals that should
and they only get the $1 billion. These Liberal appointees only got the $1 billion in order to follow the contribution agreement. They didn't have freedom to go outside the contribution agreements.
The contribution agreement was supposed to dictate how funding decisions were made and where the money went.
Right,
yes.
So they went outside of that. So there's 319 million conflicted, another 58 million that went outside the contribution agreements. So almost $400 million of $859 million of this board approval, these Liberal appointees, were not complying generally with either normal governance practices in not doing business with the company that you are governing, or outside of the rules that Parliament and ISED set up for the organization in allocating the $1 billion for them to invest.
If I may, the funds, there will be some overlap again. That 58 million, some of it is already included in those that have conflicts of interest. I can ask the team to try and narrow down for you. We may not get to it through the meeting, but if we can, we'll give you the right number.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much money going away, we don't know
Next,
how
joining
much.
us,